I was driving down I-75, somewhere outside of Cincinnati, just me and the open road, letting the wind bleed through the half-open window and the bluesy guitar solo of Clapton spill from the speakers. It was a Thursday, middle of the week, middle of nowhere, middle of what I thought was a stable life. Then my phone buzzed. Voicemail from Rachel, wife, Charlotte, her sister. I didn't think much of it. Maybe it was something about the weekend family gathering, or more drama with their mom. I pulled into a gas station, filled up, and hit play. You're out of the family business. Expect a call from our lawyer. That was it. Cold, sharp, final. Her voice didn't tremble. Charlotte's voice came in after, smug and rehearsed, like they'd planned it, like I was a pawn being knocked off the board mid-game. I didn't scream. I didn't call back. Just stared at the pump total like it could explain how my life had just tripped off a cliff. I swallowed once and muttered to no one, "Understood." Then I did what no one expected. I drove to the office, signed the papers I'd kept for just in case. And by sunset, my 95% share of our logistics firm, K, and our transport, built brick by damn brick with sweat and sleepless nights, was sold to an outside firm. Quietly. No noise. No drama. By the next morning, 82 missed calls. Rachel, Charlotte, their mom, our accountant, 2 board members, a frantic voice message from my cousin, Jeremy. Then another, "Baby, what are you doing? You can't just, please don't do this. Call me." Now she wanted to talk. That was the twist, wasn't it? I hadn't raised my voice, hadn't begged, hadn't thrown anything, just erased myself from the equation. No one saw that coming, especially not Rachel, because Rachel, my wife of 6 years, had always been the one playing angles. She was the kind of woman who knew how to win an argument before it started. Words like knives, lips like sugar, lies dressed up in designer truth. When she smiled, you questioned your own memory. And I was the guy who thought he got lucky. She picked me, right? Strong jaw, good credit, built like a Ford but soft where it mattered. A man who knew what it meant to show up. I thought I was the man in her corner. But that voicemail? That was war. You want to know what stung the most? It wasn't the betrayal, not even yet. It was the realization that they'd planned it. Like vultures over a dying body. While I was out late running numbers, cutting deals, making payroll, they were sharpening knives, whispering secrets behind polished wine glasses, plotting how to gut me from my own damn company. And I kept thinking, what the hell changed? When did my wife become a stranger with my name in her mouth like it was poison? The company had been good to us. Hell, I had been good to her. I paid off her student loans. Bought her dad a Dodge when he lost his job. Even built Charlotte's marketing firm out of thin air. Set her up with office space and clients. And they sent me a voicemail like I was some mailroom intern being cut loose? That day was the pivot. The moment everything snapped. Because it wasn't just business. I could feel something crawling under the surface. The late nights she used to fill with calls to Becca that never lasted more than a few seconds when I walked in. The lingerie tags in the trash that I never saw on her. Her always leaving her phone face down, suddenly taking the charger to the guest room. I'd asked once. Got the classic, "You're being paranoid." But you don't plan a corporate betrayal unless you've stopped seeing someone as human. You do it when you think they won't strike back. And something told me this wasn't just about shares or power or family legacy. There was someone else. I didn't have proof yet, but my gut wasn't quiet anymore. It was screaming, and maybe I should have cried, raged, hit the bottle or the wall. But I didn't. Instead, I watched the calls roll in. Rachel's voice growing more desperate with every hour. I let it all go to voicemail, because I knew something she didn't. She just lit the match. And I was done being the good guy. After the 80-second missed call, I put my phone on airplane mode. I wasn't ready to hear her voice just yet. Not because I didn't want to, but because I didn't trust what she'd say. Rachel was always quick with a story, fast on her feet like a politician caught dirty, but still smiling for the camera. The kind of woman who'd cry on command if it kept the power in her hands. I sat in my home office, the leather chair groaning under me like it knew what was coming. The silence in the house was a weird kind of loud. Normally, around this time, she'd be blasting one of those murder podcasts while doing yoga or burning garlic in the kitchen like she was possessed by a fake Italian nana. But tonight, nothing. Just the quiet hum of betrayal. I opened the drawer of my desk, the one she never touched, pulled out the old black notebook where I used to jot down business notes, client meetings, and lately odd observations. March 12th. Rachel's phone lights up at 11:47 p.m. while she's in the bathroom. Contact name, Marcus. Work. She doesn't work with a Marcus. March 22nd, Uber receipt from 2 blocks away. She told me she stayed late at the gym. April 3rd, new lingerie tags in trash. Haven't seen her wear anything new in over 2 months. April 9th, logged into Netflix. New profile, M. Watched Love and Anarchy. Not her style. That name kept coming up, Marcus. She said it casually once, like she was mentioning the weather. Marcus from the branding team said we should do a relaunch. But I'd built the branding team. There was no Marcus. So I started digging. I went into her laptop. She thought I didn't know the password. Big mistake, people are lazy. Her high school mascot and our wedding year. Tiger 2019. Boom. Inbox open. There it was. Dozens of emails, cleverly labeled under fake folders like tax docs and lease contracts. But one click inside, and it was all there. Messages between her and Marcus. Photos, plans, and the worst, a hotel booking. 3 nights. Miami. Under her name and his. The first message I read was dated 2 months ago. God. I hate pretending with him. He still doesn't suspect a thing. I'm only staying long enough to finalize the business transition. Once that's done, I'm yours. 100%. I'm so sick of his good guy act. I leaned back, closed my eyes, and felt something crack inside my ribs. Not a bone. Something deeper. Maybe whatever it is that lets you trust another human being in the first place. She hated pretending with me? I paid her car off. I threw her sister a birthday party she cried over. I held her when her dog died. I thought we were a team. I scrolled further. Found selfies taken in our house. Him in my kitchen. His toothbrush in the master bathroom. Him in my bed. And that's when I snapped out of shock. It wasn't just an affair. It was premeditated betrayal. A whole operation. She and her sister hadn't just kicked me out of the company. They were carving me out of my life like a tumor. And I'd been funding it. I closed the laptop. Sat there for a moment just breathing. My hands weren't shaking. That surprised me. I thought they would be. But no, I felt cold. Focused. Like a switch had flipped. Rachel wasn't coming home tonight. I knew that much. She was at a branding retreat, or some other beautifully wrapped lie. Fine. Let her think I was still clueless. I poured myself a drink. Neat. Sat back. And started planning. Because if she wanted a war, she just declared it on the wrong man. She walked through the front door like nothing had happened. Click of the heels. That familiar synthetic vanilla scent. Expensive, sweet, and fake. Rachel always made an entrance, even when no one asked her to. I sat in the kitchen, lights low, bourbon in hand, pretending to scroll through my phone. Calm. Too calm. She didn't notice me right away. She was too busy talking into her AirPods. Yeah, he has no idea. Like zero clue. Charlotte's lawyer is drafting the last of it. We'll be done with him by Friday. Poor guy still thinks he's running things. Ha! She walked into the kitchen, still mid-call. Then she froze. I didn't say a word. Just raised my glass and tilted my head slightly, like I was greeting a stranger. Because at that point, she was. Her voice cracked the silence. Hey, I didn't know you were home. I bet. She blinked. Pulled out the AirPods, suddenly looking unsure. Like she didn't know which mask to wear. Sweet wife? Cold partner? Businesswoman? Lying scoundrel? Listen, about the voicemail. Oh. The one where you and your sister fired me from the company I built while you were sleeping with Marcus? I stood slowly, watching her face melt. She didn't expect me to know that name. The color drained from her cheeks like someone pulled the plug. She tried to smile, weak and stupid. I don't know what you think you saw. I didn't see anything, Rachel. I read your emails. I saw the receipts. And the photos. You brought him into my house. Now she was cornered, and like all snakes, she started hissing. You're overreacting. Marcus and I have been screwing each other while you plotted how to steal my company with your sister. Her eyes narrowed. She wasn't even sorry. Not really. She was mad I caught her. That her performance was falling apart. What do you want, Ryan? Huh? You want me to cry? Apologize? You were never enough. You were boring. Predictable. Always playing the hero while I had to pretend to be some housewife mascot. She stepped closer, voice rising. Yeah, I lied. So what? You were blind. I gave you every sign. But no, Mr. Loyal had to believe in love and trust and building a future. You built a prison. I laughed. It wasn't out of amusement, it was disbelief. That this woman, who used to hold my hand at night, was now looking at me like a burden she couldn't wait to unload. You know what the funniest part is, Rachel? She folded her arms, defiant. I already sold my 95% share. Her lips parted slightly, confused. Yesterday, after your cute little voicemail stunt, you and Charlotte wanted control? Enjoy. I gave it to a logistics firm in Texas. They're restructuring everything. You're out. Charlotte's out. The whole dynasty you thought you were building? Gone. Silence. Then, you didn't. I smiled. I did. And you know what? I don't want it back. She lunged toward me then. Not violently, just in blind panic. You idiot. Do you even understand what you've done? That business was worth millions. I shrugged. Not worth my sanity. Or my soul. She started to say something else. Maybe a threat. Maybe another lie. But I was already walking past her. You'll hear from my lawyer now, I said, grabbing my keys. You wanted to be free of me? Congratulations, Rachel. You're free. She didn't follow me. She just stood there in our kitchen, surrounded by the life she'd sabotaged, wearing the perfume I bought her and the betrayal I never saw coming. But now I saw everything, and I wasn't looking back. 3 days passed. I hadn't heard a single word from Rachel. Not a text, not an email, not one of her dramatized voice messages laced with gaslighting and guilt. Complete radio silence. I assumed she was still in shock, probably trying to figure out how to spin this to her advantage. She was always better at acting than thinking. But Charlotte? Charlotte called. First time in years she'd ever reached out to me directly. Ryan, please, can we just talk? She sounded like someone who'd realized the lifeboat had already left the ship. I almost laughed. Talk about what? How you and your sister tried to cut me out and ended up with nothing. This wasn't how it was supposed to go. No, I'm sure in your version I was supposed to whine, grovel, maybe cry a little, and then accept whatever crumbs you and Rachel threw at me. Silence. Then, she's falling apart, Ryan. You need to talk to her. That hit something strange in me. She's falling apart. Part of me, the old part, still wanted to care. Still remembered holding Rachel's hand on roller coasters, or how she used to dance barefoot in the kitchen when she got tipsy. But that version of her was gone. Not my problem, I said coldly. You both made it clear. I'm out. Click. I didn't regret hanging up. What I regretted was that I ever gave either of them the best years of my life. I could have built that business solo. Could have partnered with someone who valued loyalty over greed. But I made the mistake of building an empire on quicksand, and now it was swallowing them whole. Later that day, I got a visit I didn't expect. I was walking out of my lawyer's office downtown, fresh out of a meeting about asset protection, when I saw her. Rachel, standing by my car, mascara smudged, heels in hand, like she'd walked blocks barefoot. Her hair was messy, her eyes red. I almost didn't recognize her. Ryan, she said softly. I unlocked my door, not even glancing at her. You shouldn't be here. Please, just listen. I turned to face her, keeping my voice flat. Why? Because I messed up. Marcus was a mistake. All of this, what Charlotte and I did, it was stupid. We were just scared. I didn't think you'd ever leave. That line. I didn't think you'd ever leave. That wasn't love. That was assumption. That was arrogance. And now that I did, you're sorry? I asked. She nodded, stepping closer. We can fix it. I shook my head slowly. You're not sorry for what you did. You're sorry it didn't work. No, she snapped, suddenly flipping like a switch. I'm sorry I trusted you to be weak. There it was. The truth underneath the trembling act. She dropped the tears the second she realized they weren't working. Typical Rachel. When sympathy failed, she'd reach for venom. You betrayed me, Rachel. Not just as a wife, but as a partner, as a human being. You tried to destroy me, and now you're mad I won't hand you a lifeline. Her eyes burned with hatred. You'll regret this. No, I said, opening my car door. You will. I drove off. She stood there, shrinking in the rearview mirror, a queen stripped of her crown and still blaming the world for her downfall. I didn't feel triumphant. Not yet. But I did feel one thing I hadn't felt in a long time. Free. You ever want to meet the man who blew your life apart? Not to fight. Not even to scream. Just to see him eye to eye. Not the fantasy version you've built in your head. But the real guy. The one who thought he could walk into your house, steal your wife, and walk out with your future like it was a damn party favor? Yeah, me too. Marcus wasn't hard to find. Rachel made the mistake of forwarding him company documents from her email. He listed a return address in one of them, some trendy high-rise apartment downtown, near the riverfront. Probably the kind of place with exposed brick and craft whiskey on the shelf. I didn't go there to start a fight. I went to see what Rachel threw everything away for, and what I found. Underwhelming. He opened the door in joggers and a smug little grin. Slightly shorter than me. Overgelled hair. One of those guys who probably says bro a lot in conversation. I didn't say anything. I just stood there, waiting to see if he recognized me. Can I help you? I gave him the once-over. You're Marcus. Yeah. And you are? Ryan. His face flickered, just for a second. That's the moment I live for. When the predator realizes he's not the top of the food chain anymore. Oh, he said, clearing his throat. Look, man, whatever Rachel told you, save it. I already know. I read the emails, saw the hotel bookings, the photos. I just wanted to see what a man looks like when he builds his life out of another man's scraps. He crossed his arms, trying to puff up like he wasn't already shrinking inside. You got something to say it. I smiled. Not the friendly kind. Just this, you were a side character in her drama. Don't think for 1 second she saw you as anything else. He snorted. Please. She told me everything. Said you were cold, robotic. All business. No passion. That stung. Not because it was true, but because it was familiar. Rachel knew how to turn your best traits into accusations. Loyalty? Controlling. Stability? Boring. Sacrifice? Desperate. She ever tell you I paid off her dad's debts? I asked. Bought her sister's company out of foreclosure? Put her through grad school? No? Thought so. He didn't answer. She's good at stories, I added. Just remember that when it's your turn to be the villain. I turned to leave. He called after me. She's done with you, man. You lost. I stopped on the steps, looked over my shoulder. I gave her up. You inherited the wreckage. And I meant it. See, that's the thing about people like Marcus. They think they've won because they got what they wanted. But they never stop to think about why it was so easy to get. What kind of woman cheats, lies, steals, and thinks it's strategy? What kind of woman sells out the man who gave her everything? He was standing in a house built on quicksand. It was only a matter of time. I got in my truck and drove. Radio off. Just thinking. Rachel wasn't the only one who made bad investments. I did too. I bet on a woman who wore ambition like armor and loyalty like an optional accessory. I gave her trust and she gave me betrayal. But now, the game was flipped. The house was sold. The business was gone. The bank accounts were divided. And Rachel? She was stuck with Marcus, the man who helped her burn it all down. Let's see how she likes living in the ashes. It was a Wednesday morning when Charlotte cracked. Not broke, cracked. Like a champagne glass under pressure, thin enough to shatter with the right vibration. That vibration came in the form of a single phone call. From our mutual accountant. Ryan, he said, voice low and cautious. Charlotte just found out she's personally liable for the company's outstanding tax obligations. Her name's on too many documents. She's freaking out. I almost laughed. Of course she was. See, when I sold my 95% stake, I didn't just walk away. I buried landmines behind me. The buyers I sold to weren't interested in playing nice. They were interested in assets, contracts, vehicles, warehouse infrastructure. Not people. Especially not spoiled co-founders who thought a marketing degree and a big mouth made them irreplaceable. Within 72 hours of the deal closing, they began the purge. Charlotte was at the top of the list. The email went out publicly. Effective immediately, Charlotte Avery has been released from all decision-making positions within K and our transport. We thank her for her service. That was corporate speak for, she's out. Permanently. I hadn't expected to hear from her again. But that's not how people like her work. They don't disappear. They beg, bribe, or explode. She chose all three. She called me first thing Thursday. 7 missed calls before I finally picked up, just to stop the buzzing. Ryan, she snapped before I could say hello. What the hell did you do? Good morning to you too, Charlotte. I just got served by the IRS. Do you know how many things were under my name because you set it up that way? You mean because you insisted on signing everything to feel like a real partner? Yeah. I remember. This is a damn setup. I took a long sip of coffee. No, Charlotte. This is called consequences. I walked away from the company clean. You and Rachel tried to ice me out, remember? I just helped speed up your vision. She went quiet. Then the panic started leaking through her voice like a crack in a dam. I have no job, no income. They seized my business account. Rachel told me we'd be fine. She said you wouldn't do anything rash. Well, I said flatly. She clearly never understood who she was married to. Silence again. Then came the voice I'd been expecting. Not the screamer, not the planner, but the manipulator. I'm sorry, Ryan. I nearly choked on my coffee. You're what? I was wrong. About all of it. Rachel. She dragged me into it. I didn't think you'd walk away. You were the stable one. We thought you'd fight to stay. That's what stung the most. That even in betrayal, they thought I'd cling to the burning wreckage. They believed I'd rather hold onto their lies than let go and breathe again. Tell me something, Charlotte, I said, leaning back in my chair. Was it worth it? The power trip? The alliance with your sister? The lawyer voicemails? Was any of it worth standing in this fire now? She didn't answer, because it wasn't. All she had left were lawsuits, frozen accounts, and a bitter sister with a sinking relationship, and no one to clean up the mess. She thought silence might guilt me, but this time I didn't rush to fix it. I just hung up. No rage, no gloating, just finality. For the first time, I was the one who turned my back. And it felt damn good. I always thought freedom would feel loud. Like a cheer, or a door slamming shut behind you, or the wind rushing in as you speed down a highway with nothing and no one waiting for you. But the first real moment of freedom for me came in quiet, steady layers. Came in the absence of tension. No more checking my tone. No more reading between the lines of what my wife said or didn't say. No more pretending everything was fine for the sake of appearances. It started one morning with the sun pouring through the blinds like I hadn't seen it in years. I made my own breakfast. Real bacon. Not Rachel's ridiculous vegan substitute made of lentils and lies. I brewed coffee exactly how I liked it. Black, bitter, honest. I played music loud. Not classical jazz like she always preferred, but grungy, angry rock from my 20s that made the walls hum. And for the first time in years, I wasn't walking on emotional eggshells. It was just me, and silence that didn't feel like a punishment. I'd moved out of the house 2 weeks earlier. Sold it right under her nose. She was too busy trying to salvage what was left of her ruined image to notice the real estate transfer go through. The new place was smaller, sharper. A high-rise condo downtown with no echo of her perfume. No stiletto scuff marks on the floors. No wine-stained lies in the carpet. Just clean walls and space that belonged only to me. People don't talk enough about how betrayal messes with your mind. Not just the pain, it's the paranoia. You start doubting everything. Was that joke actually a jab? Was she ever really happy? Did she fake the laughter, too? Did she ever love me? Or just the life I gave her? But once that fog lifted, something surprising filled the space. Clarity. I didn't miss her. I didn't miss Charlotte. I didn't even miss the company, to be honest. Turns out what I missed most was myself. The version of me before I became the husband of a woman who weaponized intimacy. Before I spent my nights justifying her coldness or twisting myself into knots trying to meet standards that moved every week. I went back to the gym, reconnected with people I'd ghosted during the marriage, old friends who never liked Rachel but were too polite to say it. They welcomed me back like no time had passed. I picked up hobbies I'd shelved for years. Woodworking, fishing, actual weekends with no spreadsheets. And no Rachel pretending her phone was just dying again. I also stopped wearing my wedding ring. Not with bitterness. Just detachment. Like shedding a skin that didn't fit anymore. I won't lie, it wasn't all sunshine and freedom. Some nights, I'd lie awake and still feel the ghost of her beside me. Habits don't die clean. They decay. Slowly. And even when the rot is gone, the smell lingers. But I wasn't angry anymore. Anger is useful at the start. It gives you movement when you're paralyzed. But it's not meant to be permanent. It burns too hot. You can't build a future in flames. You rebuild in peace. And I was finally finding mine. One morning, I looked in the mirror and saw him again. The guy I used to be. Eyes clear. Shoulders squared. Not a victim. Not a fool. Just a man who walked through hell and came out smarter. Not harder. Just wiser. That's what freedom feels like. Not noise. But peace. It's strange how a story that felt like the end of your life becomes just one chapter. You flip the page and suddenly you're not bleeding anymore, you're breathing. Then you're laughing. Then, without even realizing it, you're living again. It's been 6 months since I walked out of Rachel's life. 6 months since I stopped answering her sister's calls. Since I sold the business. Since the voicemail that detonated the life I thought I was building. Sometimes I wonder if they still tell the story from their version. If I'm the villain now, the cold ex-husband who abandoned them, the guy who went nuclear when he didn't get his way, that's fine. Let them. They burned the bridge. I built a damn highway. The business I sold is thriving under new leadership. The owners stripped out all the fluff and dead weight, which included Charlotte and Rachel. Turns out loyalty is more valuable than ambition soaked in deceit. As for Marcus, from what I've heard, that fairy tale fizzled fast. Word got around that Rachel tried to pull some of the same manipulation on him. Financial dependency, passive control, silent punishments. But Marcus wasn't me. He didn't stick around. He left her 3 months in. No big fight. Just gone. She tried to message me once after that. Came in the form of an email. Just a few lines. I'm sorry. I was wrong. I missed the life we had. I hope you're okay. I didn't reply. Not because I'm angry, but because I'm done. Forgiveness doesn't mean reopening the door. It just means I don't carry the weight anymore. That's her cross now. Not mine. I've met someone new. No, she's not a rebound. And no, I'm not rushing into anything. We met at a bookstore of all places. She laughed at the same sarcastic quote on the back of a crime novel I was holding. Just like that, natural. No tension. No mind games. No secrets wrapped in lipstick and false smiles. She doesn't know all of me yet, but she will. And the best part? I'm not afraid of being vulnerable anymore. You want to know what betrayal teaches a man? Teaches you the value of truth, the weight of loyalty, the importance of protecting your peace more than your pride. If you're reading this and you're in it, if your gut is screaming that something's off but your heart keeps making excuses, listen to your gut. The heart is hopeful, but the gut is honest. And when the truth finally hits you, When the lies unravel and the mask drops, you'll feel like your world's ending. It's not. It's just the beginning of the version of you that refuses to be used again. Men are taught to endure, to take the hit, to be strong and silent. But real strength is not staying where you're being slowly destroyed. It's knowing when to walk away with dignity. That's what I did, and I don't regret a damn second of it. Let Rachel rot in the ruins of the empire she tried to hijack. Let Charlotte learn that being clever doesn't make you wise. Let Marcus chase the next disaster dressed like a dream. Me? I've got peace. And trust me, after betrayal, peace is the most expensive thing in the world. But it's worth everything.